without going over questions yet or anything like that, how'd you summarize passage? Like, what's going on? What's the main point, argument, idea, concept that you have?
Harry is kind of like a jack of all trades.
Who?
What was her name?
It's not like you said Harry.
Harry. Harry.
Not gonna lie, I'm kind of concerned that like.
What's the person's name?
EllenTerry?
Yeah, Terry. EllenTerry, sure. Same thing. She's kind of like
Yeah,
a jack
sure.
of all trades.
That's Steven, get in the back, or Ryan, whatever his name is. Yep. I'm just gonna point out that like her name's right there, and right there, like
I was
right
on
at
the
the
last
end.
page, it just says Terry here, so I don't know.
You said a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the primary trade? Someone said acting. Okay. You know what kind of actor? Or take a guess? Okay, you're right. So actor, specifically dealing with stage as opposed to movies and things like that. Anyone ever hear of EllenTerry before this? 1 year, someone's going to raise a hand, but they probably won't really know who the person is. So it's stage acting. Any other guesses about her, like how old she would be at this point, or anything along those lines?
32.
It's a very specific answer. Why 32?
Because I feel like you need some time to like give yourself a name in that field.
Okay.
But then, can't be too old.
Okay.
Like,
All right. And the only thing that we know about, so far as time is this is published in the 1940s, so we don't even know like her lifespan or anything like that. It's strictly coming from the article. She is not 32. Like 30s, early 40s. 42. Any others?
Never know.
Harry is 18. You said old? I was going to say, what's
I'm on
old
the younger
mean?
side here. I'm on the younger side.
Okay.
I'm on the younger side here.
I qualify as older.
Maybe. We'll see.
I mean, it's not like 18.
All right. Not. So age, we don't know. Somewhere from, we're thinking 30s to like 40s-ish, maybe. Okay. So established career at this point. All right. So number one, and I'll tell you about age and all that kind of stuff as we get going. Which of the following is best supported? So she doesn't focus on one career, so skilled at so many things, she didn't excel in any one. Clever, encouraged to become a playwright, lacked confidence, or since she didn't have the natural talent, she struggled to learn her crafts. What are we feeling? You said jack of all trades. Why not A? What do you like about D? Where would be, since from yesterday we were talking about, having evidence to support it, what would be a place where, and this isn't like solely coming from Ryan, where would be a place in here that you would say this is support as to why she lacked confidence? Start with that one, Grace.
It was like when she said, surely a writer cannot string, like something about how she was a writer.
Okay, so this whole part right here, where like some frustration coming across. Douglas, did you have another one? That was the one we were going with. Okay, so is she skilled? Is she a talented person? Yes, but she lacks confidence in those areas that she doesn't realize how rare her talents and gifts are. D is definitely the correct answer. Not purposely skipping, because it is the next question. Number two certainly kind of plays off of this because of the fact that she is not confident and doesn't recognize how rare her talents are. Which two terms there for the tone now really kind of start to align with that concept? Now what are we taking a look at? Going to see. So the idea that the admiration is going to be that the author recognizes her talent. Why would the author be sympathetic toward her? So there's sympathy for the fact that she lacks the talent, or doesn't lack the talent, that she lacks the confidence to recognize the talent. There's admiration for the fact that she is a person of rare gifts and talents. So yeah, you're taking a look here at C with number 2. So certainly those two kind of play off one another. And then 3, 4, and 5 all kind of go together with this as well. Tori, what'd you do for number 3? B. So audiences' impressions of actors' performances. Ryan said right off the bat, stage actor. What makes a stage actor different than like movies, cinema, theater? Sure, you can do another performance.
Yeah, but it's live. That one's messed up.
What's messed up?
That's the one performance, like that's it. That one, everyone who saw that one was gonna be like,
You probably have to keep going.
And live with that guilt of messing up that performance.
I just mean you have to keep going. Like you can't say, let me redo that.
Okay, so like the performance itself is live, and that performance, you can do additional performances, have more shows, but that one performance from that one day is never going to be replicated exactly the same way. Whereas if it is being shot, you can watch the film over and over again, or if there is a mistake that is done, hey, let's redo that scene, cut, and kind of go over with it. So yeah, there's definitely a difference with that. And so if they're only leaving these picture postcards, like, what's a postcard? It's an image, specifically a still image. You just have this one glimpse. It's not like you're getting a whole video or anything that is taking place. So when the curtain goes down, the canvas is rubbed out because those postcards are only there with the audience at that one moment. Yeah, we're taking a look at the fact that time is going to be an issue, that it's the audience's impression of that performance that is taking place at the time. The passage implies that the enemy of the beautiful colored canvas and the wavering insubstantial phantom, because we got to have more phantom references with Halloween this week, today, is going to be, which one of those? We're going passage of time with C. So again, it's not that they're always going to go in pairs, but these two certainly kind of pair up where if you recognize that, okay, it's the impression of the actor's performances, it's a one-time performance, it's a one-time impression, what's going to happen for that audience member? You know, we saw Grace's wonderful, beautiful performance, and then over the years, it starts to kind of wane a little bit. You just don't remember quite the same detail, you know, that we did at that one time. And then you feel like, well, you're sad. Remember the good old days?
I'm not gonna like.
I don't. When were the good old days?
I don't know. Just whenever.
I don't know, but I remember.
Stressed out about having to write English papers and.
The fact that you go, I don't know, they might be imaginary. Maybe there never were the good old days. And 5, kind of going with this as well. The phrase, a verbal life on the lips of the living, suggests which? Jess, what do you think for 5? I'm sorry? E. Audiences respond to the realism of theater. Said A. Stella put a hand up too. You're going A. Gotta have multiple. You don't seem so confident anymore. Let's take a look at what's happening with it. It's the fate of the actors to leave only picture postcards behind them, that one image. Every night when the curtain goes down, the beautiful colored canvas is rubbed out. And really, that's kind of coming from that postcard. What remains is at best only a wavering, insubstantial phantom, a verbal life on the lips of the living. Who would this living be? The audience, the people who were there. So they've seen this show, it's there, but slowly over time, based on what we said from the previous question, it could kind of start to go away. Those performances are only going to live for those who witness and are able to speak of them. A is the one that, yeah, we're ultimately kind of going with. Audiences respond to the realism of the theater or the critics' powerful influence over the popularity. These aren't really kind of fitting within the context of what's happening within the passage, where these 5 is really kind of playing off of this whole idea that it's a one-time performance, that it's not going to stay forever, that everyone will always be able to kind of see it and hear it. What do you think so far as age about Terry? if we're talking about things could kind of get blurred over the sense of time, hey, this is a really talented actress that people should remember.
Maybe she's
She's actually deceased at this point. She's been dead for about 15 years. So what is the writer doing? Which doesn't mean that it's going to mess up all the answers to the question, but what's the writer trying to do? Bring back that memory, or at least introduce her to folks who maybe have not witnessed her, because her actual, like, her performances, we're talking like 1880s, 1890s. So a 17-year-old in the 1940s wouldn't have had a chance to, witness those things or see those things. But at least you can kind of begin to hear about it a little bit. 6, kind of dealing with a syntax effect kind of question. What's the relationship of the first and third sentences in relation to the first one? So for that opening line, it's the fate of actors to leave only picture postcards behind them. Then you have this every night going down to the living. What does this sentence and this sentence meant to accomplish in relation to that first one? So with that, is it trying to, wrong way? Is it trying to just simply be less complex, express, introduce new idea, clarify, question? You want to take a look at what are like really the verbs that are taking place in the sense of what is the concept, what's the idea that they are trying to present. Question, are they trying to question, clarify, introduce, express, or are they just simply structurally less complex? Go in D, so clarify and expand. You're going. Diana's giving you the little nod in the back of the room as well. Answer we got with this one is D. 7 proves to be a little tricky for some folks. You pick D. Pick A. I'm thinking another. Jess, did you have one or you went? E. That's what I was thinking the other one was going to end up being. So you said the right 3 so far as the ones I wanted you to choose. Alex, you get the final say. You went with D. Sorry to say, that's not the final say. College Board gets the final say. Ends up being A. Now, what is seductive about these two? You got the pronoun it in line 6, and then you got these 2 things here that are right before it in line 5. Get rid of this ink so we can actually see what's happening. What remains is at best only a wavering, insubstantial phantom, a verbal life on the lips of the living. Terry is aware of it. So we could go, okay, she's aware of this phantom, or she's aware of the verbal life. But what are these things all really working toward? She's aware of what that ultimate fate is of actors when they are doing their kind of stage performance. So she was aware of it. Generally, more often than not, it's not going to go that far back. But what makes the question difficult is you have these things kind of expanding upon what is the fate of actors, and that it isn't that expansion of it, but going back to that original concept, she was aware of that fate. So that's one where it does kind of get a little bit tricky, where I think we tend to kind of go, oh, yeah, lips of the living, or that phantom, but it's kind of recognizing that whole concept about that fate. So number 7 does prove to be fairly tricky. Grace, what'd you do for 8?
I said,
Yeah, and certainly you kind of going back to mentioning like around that area as to why there would be some lack of confidence for her, that nothing, certainly going to emphasize that overall sense of frustration. Effect questions, again, verbs end up being big things for us, where is it an implication, is it a link, a suggestion, an emphasis indicating? Look at those verbs to try to figure out what was going to work best with that overall purpose. Words bubbled off, peeled off, describe the way that she wrote, continue to emphasize. Sasha, what'd you do? E, the ease and spontaneity. Daniel, can you relate to that? The ease and spontaneity of, yeah, that's good. Yeah, E, go and E for that one. I don't think Brady can.
Nah, I'm really slow.
Yeah. Hey, you knew Ellen Terry as opposed to Harry or.
Yeah.
I said Terry, and they called her
So what'd you get for 10 since you read it?
I got B.
You got B for 10? Yeah. Why?
Because it's repetition.
That's a good answer. Because yeah, there is. I think that one's pretty straightforward. No offense to the complexity of your answer, which is kind of good. Where sometimes I think when it comes to answering questions, we'll go, it can't be that obvious because there is clearly repetition taking place. Maybe if it said parallelism or whatnot, or like an anaphora could kind of complicate it a little bit. But if the correct answer is screaming itself like right to your face, go with it, run with it. You're probably good enough at this point to recognize it. Save yourself some time for those more complex questions. Not that number 7 with it is necessarily more complex, but it takes more time to try to diagnose it and figure it out because of all those options that are there. So if you do have one where it seems pretty obvious, then yeah, that's probably the correct answer. If it seems obvious and it's wrong, there's probably not much that you're going to do to figure out what the correct answer would then be. So I would go with that one. Number 11 can be a little tricky with this one a little bit. Anna, what do you think for 11? C. You feel fairly confident with that one? Also, does that help? Yeah. All right. B. It's one of those two.
It's definitely C. Guaranteed.
Do you feel less confident now? Do you feel less confident now? No. Okay. It is C. The makes reference with the Academy portrait, which certainly is going to be, more of like that kind of painting and whatnot. But what is her self-portrait done through? Really all the writing that's being done. So it's more metaphorical as opposed to, she's going to be doing both painting and writing when it comes to this. Playing off of that portrait, those sketches are probably what for her then? If this is dealing with her whole writing aspect? Grady said definitely for 4, so I have to assume this is what you're confident about too.
Yeah, this is the one I was the least confident
Oh
on.
boy.
I'm gonna say I think it's either A or D, but I think in the end I'm going A. I don't really pick an answer.
So you're between those two.
Yeah.
Okay. Said D. Jess is nodding D. Diana going. Yeah. It's D. And again, I would kind of say that for this is similar to the question that was kind of dealing with what's the lips of the living, so far as, the idea that we don't really have those critical reviews kind of coming in. The critical reviews here aren't a big aspect. Notice with the self-revelatory remarks, this is going to go back to that whole writing idea. So if we're recognizing that, okay, these sketches, the portrait, it's more about what she is writing, her comments, her journals, and all those things. That's how we start to kind of piece together who this person would be. And then the very last one, Shakespeare, Shaw, Ibsen could not fit Terry, chiefly because wouldn't allow to make use of all the talents that she has. So that one's A. If you got a 10, 11, a 12, a 13, you're right like in that 5. Like a 10 would be right in that 5 neck of the woods. A 9 would be sitting around the 4. And then a 7 and an 8 would be kind of like in that 3 area.
I got 11, you probably.
And if you know that, like, I got 11 right, and it took me, like, I got it done in those 13, 14, 15 it doesn't mean that the time is going to always be, like, a big factor that you have to worry about. I mean, some are going to take longer than others, but you know it's definitely doable.